Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, brought to you by oddschecker, Sporting Index and SpreadX. This is the show where we look ahead to the weekend's football, look at the spread betting markets, take the midpoint of those and say if we think the eventual result will be higher or lower. I'm your host, George Ellick, and for this FA Cup third round special, I'm joined by two expert guests, Dan Worth.
Hello, mate.
And for the first time in 2025, Jack Wright.
It feels like it's been a while, yeah.
Where were you last week?
I saved myself for the FA Cup.
Wow, no one does that these days.
No, well, yeah, special teams.
We've done that weird thing that no one does, where we rested ourselves the weekend before the FA Cup, played a weekend team, Sam Ty, and we brought back our big gun for the FA Cup, respecting tradition and what is a magnificent competition.
It is indeed. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do like it. Yeah, I'm up for the cup.
Good. I think it's also a very good betting competition, personally, because I don't think it's priced up particularly well. Because I think, like, in a league, how teams compare to each other is very obvious and it's quantifiable. Whereas I think there's a lot of like finger in the air stuff when it comes to like how do you rank a mid-table League One team against a bottom end Championship side.
Lots of opportunities.
I think so.
As we'll discover.
And then 2 o'clock. Well, there are games starting Thursday night through to like next Tuesday afternoon, from what I can tell. But team news obviously big too in terms of working out what's going to happen. As we've seen in Reading games, both Reading games obviously got through both rounds, but big drifters because of the team news in both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I was on the wrong side of both.
Me too.
Right, let's get into the action. So this is purely FA Cup third round. No League One and League Two action this one, as there never is ever. But we're going to start with.
Is there?
Nap.
Wow.
Stay tuned.
Exciting. If you haven't got a Sporting Index or a SpreadX account, click in the link in the show description. T's and C's to apply. There is a new customer offer waiting for you there. Going to start with Villa West Ham. Seems likely that Graham Potter will be managing West Ham for the first time in this game. Does that have any impact?
Maybe.
Total goals is the market we're looking at here with SpreadX. This is one of those FA Cup classics that I'm sure we're all delighted on television.
Oh yeah, it's been ages since we've seen.
It's not like we ever see Villa West Ham, is it?
Oh, the Claret.
I can't wait. Total goals, 3.05 is the midpoint here. So lower is 3 goals or fewer. Higher is 4 or more. This is with SpreadX. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, George.
You are so happy.
Not like you.
Cup games.
That's the kind of rationale that I usually use.
No. Cup games have higher goal expectancies. Fact.
Yeah.
Because, and especially when there are no replays, it leads itself to a more open game. If teams go behind, they throw caution to the wind. There's less at stake at this stage of the competition, especially between two teams where, I guess for Villa, the FA Cup provides an actual opportunity to win a cup. And for West Ham to an extent too, but I think probably for the Hammers, they'll be more keen to focus on their league campaign. But generally this, when the first goal goes in the cup game, it gets pretty end-to-end. We've seen West Ham under Lopetegui be way higher goal expectancy in their games than I anticipated before the season started. Villa basically never don't score, especially at home. So this seems a pretty obvious game to me where not loads at stake, 2 teams that see loads of goals. It should be relatively end-to-end. I know I'm taking on the odds here because with the midpoint just over 3, of course 4 or more is a pretty high line. But I'm much happy to go higher, and I'll be backing the over 2.5 goals at odds against here too. So yeah, higher for me against the grain. Jack?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one to call. So I think we've just heard news through that Graham Potter has been announced. I think he's doing his press conference as we speak, isn't he? Obviously, no real time for him to make an impact as far as on the training pitch is concerned. Game tomorrow, so he'll have a session today and probably a tactical meeting tomorrow, or maybe a light session. But I think the questions for me are, where does the FA Cup sit in the priorities? And I think for Villa, it would generally be as you say, a great chance to win. But they've just got so much on the table at the moment. I think they might see this as a better opportunity to rest and rotate for their other challenges rather than actually go for it. They've also got a few injuries as well. They've got 7 games in the next 3 weeks, Villa. So obviously they're looking to get progress through in the Champions League. They're now back in contention for a European spot in the Premier League, and I just think that possibly might take the edge. They've also got a ridiculously bad record in the competition as well. They got through last season against Borough 1-0. Prior to that, they'd lost 7 third-round ties in succession. So, pretty bad. They've also not got a good home record in the FA Cup either. Lost their last 6 at home. Irrelevant to goals, really, but just to throw that out there. Obviously, he's met earlier in the season at the London Stadium. It was 2-1. I just think having 0-1, 2 and 3 goals on side is the deciding factor for me in one which could be a bit disjointed, I feel, given the natures of the sides.
Interesting stuff, Dan.
Yeah,
How do you see it?
much the same for me, to be honest. It's that 0.05, which comes as no surprise, because if it was 2.95, I almost definitely would have been higher. But West Ham games generally have been relatively low scoring, bar when they've played the big boys, the City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Spurs, where there's been loads of goals. And I guess you could probably argue that Villa are in that discussion these days of being in with the big boys, but even they're scoring fewer goals.
You think they're not just a big boy? You're not giving them big boy tag?
I don't know. It's a big question. How many big boys can there be in a 20-team league?
There's no cap.
Could be 20. Wow, if
There's some big boys in the Championship. Sunderland, big boy. Leeds, big boy.
It depends what level of big boy we're talking.
Yeah. Sheffield United?
Big boy in Championship.
Yeah.
In the Championship, yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Sunderland won't be a big boy in the Premier
Reading,
League.
big boy in League 2 if they go down.
Big boy in League 1, surely.
Just having a big stadium doesn't make you a big boy.
Yeah. You wouldn't know about that.
I do, because we were once in the conference. We had a big stadium then.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, now you're in the Championship. Glory days.
Yeah.
So enjoy it.
Thank you.
Derailed. Yeah. Not going to be 4 or more.
Okay, cool. Second game on the card. This is, if you could basically, if you asked AI to come up with the perfect FA Cup third round game, I reckon Liverpool Accrington Stanley is pretty much it.
Who?
Exactly.
I had that planned.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Luckily he was looking at me.
Well, that should be at Accrington Stanley, really. And sadly, if they hold Liverpool to a draw here this year, there wouldn't be a replay, which is a bit of a blow. But Liverpool are the favourites here. Shocked by that. Just looking at the running order, and Dan has definitely made another error here. 3.1 to sell, 3.4 to buy.
Yeah.
So the midpoint 3.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just make it up as we go along.
So this is Liverpool are the favourites over Accrington. So the level of goals by which they will win in order to dictate the profit and loss here. So if you're going lower here, you've got Accrington win on side, you've got the draw on side, and you've got Liverpool by 1, 2, and 3. Higher, yes. Liverpool need to win by 4 goals or more. 3, 2, 1. Oh, lads.
Sensible. You're going sensible.
What?
You're going sensible.
What are you doing?
Just go for the vibes. Fun.
All right, you go first then.
5-0.
Oh.
Liverpool... Right, actually, first I need to start with, have you looked at the recent matches between these two sides? Liverpool have a 100% win record when they played Accrington Stanley.
I think they'll win.
Yeah. That was a 2-0 win in 56, by the way. That was a little joke. Just to try.
Didn't bite as much as you were hoping there, did he?
Well, you went too early with it. Which is fine. I just think, this is obviously a huge line. I don't think we've never done an FA Cup show, so I can't imagine we've ever had a line this high.
Yeah.
No, we haven't.
But I'm happy taking it on. I think Liverpool at home are a complete monster, right? They're definitely the best team in England, particularly at home, maybe even the world. I've said that before, so there's no need to cut that up. And I have no doubts that Liverpool win this game, easily.
Yeah.
Yes, to win by 4 is a lot, but as I said, Liverpool, best team in England at home, coming up against Accrington Stanley, who might be... Well, obviously, they're going to be very excited for this. Probably the biggest game they've had in God knows how long, maybe since 1956.
Jesus.
But that won't phase Liverpool. They'll hammer Accrington Stanley here. Don't need to reel off the stats about Liverpool's home form at the moment because everyone knows they are fantastic. So, big win for Liverpool. Accrington Stanley, enjoy a day out.
I'm just looking now, and I don't think Liverpool... Yeah, the last time Liverpool covered this handicap was the 19th in the FA Cup, was the 19th of February 2012. where they beat Brighton 6-1.
When was the last time they covered it in any cup competition?
Do you know?
It was this season.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
But like included in that is a 2-1 win over Mansfield, a 3-2 defeat against Oldham, a 2-0 win over Oldham, a 2-0 win over Bournemouth, which back then Bournemouth were not a Premier League team, a 2-1 win over AFC Wimbledon, a 2-1 win over Bolton, a 0-0 draw with Blackburn, a 2-2 draw with Exeter, a 3-0 win over Exeter, a 1-0 win over Plymouth Argyle, 3-2 against West Brom. Like, they've played loads of EFL teams. 1-0 against Shrewsbury, a win there. 4-1 against Shrewsbury, 3-1 against Cardiff, 2-1 against Norwich.
Keep going, you'll find a win for Reading in
What was
there,
that face for?
No, I'm only doing like really small clubs. I think it's just a bit of a, it's often that these lines aren't hit, and you just assume in your head it's like, hold on, it's a Premier League team against a League Two team, it's going to be easy. But as you said there, the motivation for the League Two team is always massive. Liverpool will likely rotate. As soon as they're ahead in the game, they'll take players off. Under Slot, we've seen plenty of times this season, they don't keep their foot on the gas. Accrington come into this in really good form, having gone back-to-back wins at the end of the Christmas period too. I'm happy. I mean, Liverpool will probably win this, but I think Accrington will make it difficult for them. I don't think they'll roll over. And I'm very happy to go lower here. Jack?
I just think that, yes, they will heavily rotate, but we are looking at the number 1 team in England at the moment versus number 87. That shows you the gulf between the two, and they've got home advantage. And I think they have got some big name players that need minutes. And crucially, at the top end of the pitch, I'm talking about Darwin Núñez, possibly Jota, Chiesa, Elliott, all who haven't featured much at all, if at all, over the last few weeks, and will have an opportunity to get some confidence, get some minutes. And I think that spells a little bit of danger. And I think also, as you rightly say, there will be, I'd imagine, 5 or 6 under 21s in the Liverpool lineup. But I would suggest that probably most of those, if they were put into a League One or League Two side, they would become one of the key elements of that team, or a standout player in that team. So I just think that they will, again, have a little bit too much. And yeah, I think Accrington will look to keep it tight early, but I just think Liverpool will end up winning it comfortably enough. And yeah, I just feel that they'll cover this. So higher, yeah, for me.
As you say, though, the youngsters are most likely to come in at the back, right? So that only plays into this bet, because it increases the chances that Accrington can get on the score sheet, which would be lovely. No, it wouldn't, because this is supremacy, so just cut that.
Yes, love it. Right.
It's been a long week.
It's great, though. Next is Manchester City versus Salford City. First match goal of the market here with spread X. 24.5 is the midpoint, so 23 to sell, 26 to buy. Lower means you think there will be a goal in the first 25 minutes. Higher means you think there will be 0-0. 25 gone. What are we saying? 3, 2, 1. Cool. You think?
Goals. City.
Why?
Flying out. Get this job done. Like, City are obviously going to rotate a lot as well, but that will give a chance to some players that need to prove a point under Pep Guardiola. Foden, maybe Grealish, like players that are way too good for this Salford City side, and I think they're just going to come flying out of the trap. 25 is obviously quite early compared to this line that we usually discuss in the Premier League. It's like 5-6 minutes lower. It's still quite a long time, isn't it, for a team of Salford's quality, albeit, okay, in good form. But City are much, much, much better. I think, yeah. Fast start, early goal, lower.
Lovely stuff. I really disagree. So this is quite interesting, where Salford come into this as basically the form team in England right now. They have won, I think, 8 of their last 9 games to 0. Defensively, really, really solid. And there's also a little wrinkle in this, where this is the 3rd time that Carl Robinson has faced up with Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. He did it twice as Oxford manager. Once they were beaten 3-0. The first goal in that game came after 36 minutes through Gabriel Jesus. And then the second time they were beaten 3-1. And the first game in that came after 22 minutes, so just before the midpoint. But I think the crucial part of this was that both times Oxford acquitted themselves incredibly well. And in that 3-1 game, at the time, in December, it was the most shots that a Pep Guardiola Manchester City team had ever faced up to that point. And Guardiola's spoken afterwards in those games about how much he respects Robinson and rates him as a manager. So like, there's a bit of history between these two, which isn't overwhelmingly bad for Robinson. And then you factor in the fact that City are just still woefully out of form in my mind. I think Salford are really well drilled defensively. I think they'll keep it very tight. I'm sure the City will likely have too much for them later on, but I definitely don't think they'll roll over for them. So I'm happy to strongly think this one will start as a will be tight to start with, even if it does unravel later on. Jack?
Yeah, no, exactly the same. I think that 4-1 scoreline against West Ham possibly papered over a few cracks that are still there for City. They were fortunate, really, that West Ham missed 2 or 3 chances, and we know that West Ham do unravel. And I think that this is their kind of first opportunity that I think that City will properly rotate. And Haaland's not really had a break all season, so I assume he's not going to start this one.
Yeah.
And of course, they've got great talent to bring in, but I also think, as you rightly say, Salford come into it in fantastic form. They've shown they're a very good defensive side as well. They've won their last. You then talked about all those performances to nil. Their last 3 on the road, they've won to 0. They've only conceded 10 goals. This is, of course, at League 2 level, but only conceded 10 goals in 12 away games. And I just think they're not. Sometimes when you look at this line, it's a low line, so I'm happy to take it on. I think it's more upside than down, but I also think that when you have this line, you want, if you're going to go lower, you want both teams to look to contribute towards it. And I just think that Salford want to try and going to get a foothold in the game, see if they can frustrate City and keep it tight for the initial. They normally go in sections, don't they, like 15-minute blocks. And I think if they can do that again here, that'll be the game plan. And then look to try and nick something a little bit later on. But so I think a tight start would be in order, and I'm happy to take on this low line, going higher.
Good stuff. Tamworth, Tottenham now. Tottenham fresh off a massive win in the first leg of their Carabao Cup semi-final against Liverpool, joining Newcastle and winning their first legs. 2 teams desperate for a trophy, and this is another opportunity to do so. Maybe not for Tamworth, but a huge game for them, hosting Premier League opposition. Total goal minutes is the market here. 170.5 is the midpoint. 163 to sell, 178 to buy. So higher here with Sporting Index. You're looking for more goals and late goals. Lower, you're looking for fewer goals and early goals. 3, 2, 1. Yes.
On my own again.
Cup competition, mate.
Yeah.
Cup competition.
I know. Right, a huge
I
thing.
was surprised by this line. I thought it was going to be higher.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you know what? I was too, because this is quite a low line by Premier League standards, and you have such a disparity between these 2 teams. You probably would assume that it's higher, but
not you.
Not me. Right, there's a few reasons why, and none of them more important than the fact that Tottenham have Arsenal at the weekend. And I would suggest, one, they're going to rotate a bit, although they're pretty bare bones at the moment anyway, so it's question marks around how much they can rotate and who they'll bring in. But I think, much like Liverpool, much like Man City, probably both, they'll be looking to get the job done early doors, and I kind of see this game playing out. The Spurs take the lead in the first half, take off any player that is fundamental to their game against Arsenal, which currently is quite a lot of them, because, as I said, they don't have loads at their disposal with all the injuries and things. So I think cosy 2-0 win for Tottenham, potentially with both goals coming in the first half.
Just 2.
Yeah.
Jack?
No, I think that, Tottenham are going to heavily rotate in this one. Obviously got the opportunity to do so. But the one area where they've got a lot of talent and fit bodies is up top. And you look at some of the players they might well bring in for this one. I think Mikey Moore was back on the bench last night, I believe. Lancashire as well is a player that's very highly thought of and has scored in Europe this season as well when they rotate there. But you also got the likes of Timo Werner that's been really struggling for game time. So as much as he's kind of vilified, and I think against Tamworth you'd expect that class to come through, and 2 or 3 others as well. It'd be interesting to see the lineup. The one thing that really interests me, a result that caught my eye, and I've not been massively over Tamworth's results so far this season, but on the 19th of November they played in the National League Cup, and that was against Sunderland's under-21s, and they lost 5-1 at home, and the total 259 minutes, that one. And then I looked through their lineup that day compared to their last National League lineup. 8 first-team players were in that side, so you'd assume a similar amount. Therefore, I think that's a decent correlation. And the other final point is fitness. I think the one thing, endeavour, work rate and effort, I think will always be obvious for a non-league side up against a Premier League side. But the one thing they can't replicate is the elite levels of fitness that the Premier League side will bring. And therefore, I do think that if they can even keep it tight or not, they'll still unravel at the end. And I expect a couple of late Tottenham goals, which would be enough just to cover this on its own.
That is exactly what I think. Like, often this happens in FA Cup games where it's impressive how long the underdog will stick at it, and it starts relatively cagey. But late on, when the game gets away from them, you see the heads drop and you see them realise that it's not going to happen. And then the extra physicality and quality and fitness of these Premier League players is just completely a different level to the underdogs and to guys that are playing non-league football. So I really agree with you. I'm amazed this isn't higher.
Yeah.
Like, it feels ripe this for a game where should be loads of late goals.
Yeah. Completely my strongest pick of
Totally agree.
of these, and one I will be playing.
I agree.
I'm just like looking at the other markets in this game.
Yeah.
So the spread suggested there's going to be 4 goals. So yeah, that is kind of mad.
Cool.
That the total goal minutes is so low.
And you're
I'm still disagreeing with you. I can't change that now. It's on camera.
It's locked in.
But yeah, maybe if you guys want to listen to these two, you might have a better day than me.
We'll see.
Last, before our best bets of the week, Arsenal hosting Manchester United. The supremacy here is the mark we're looking at with Sporting Index. 0.95 is the midpoint. So this is, I think I know what we're all going to do here, maybe.
God.
So this is higher, even if Arsenal win at all, then higher is a win, because 0.95 would make up 1, and then a draw or United win is lower. United with a sneaky little habit of playing well against...
They are back.
Whoa.
3, 2, 1.
Or not. You found the ground on the other far rail today, aren't you?
I'm just enjoying opposing you two.
Okay.
Or am I? We'll find out next week. But recency bias could be getting me real good here, because United have, as you said, been quite good against the better teams, i.e. Liverpool and Manchester City.
I thought you said better teams.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, maybe not better than Arsenal, but better than most of the others in the 92. And Arsenal are right up there too. So I'm expecting Man United to perform well here. We've mentioned it about other teams, but this is a cup that, if Man United can get through this game, will have a strong chance of winning. Maybe their only chance. I mean, I know they're favourites to win the Europa League, but I kind of just see that not happening in my head. So I'm discarding that for the sake of this.
Yeah.
They're 5-1 for that too. So if you disagree with me, go for that. I'm going back to last season's rationale. Every week, I want the draw on side. I just think it's going to be super tight. Arsenal have not been as potent going forward without Saka.
Yeah.
So the draw here is super appealing, and that's pretty much why I've gone for lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not buying the Man United great revival at this moment in time. To be fair, I need to see a bit more evidence, and we just know they're so inconsistent. And absolutely raised it. Not for the first time against Liverpool. They've generally done pretty well, other than a couple of horrendous results there. But I just feel this becomes a very, very important big game for Arsenal, and they're effectively potentially 9 points adrift Liverpool, obviously with that game in hand in the Premier League. That's a massive mountain to climb. That result in midweek in the EFL Cup is a real dent to them, and this now becomes a big game for Arteta and his side. So they got in some great positions against Newcastle. Yes, they lost 2-0, but I think there's a couple of elements. Obviously, the ball played a massive part in it, and the fact that we've not got that same ball in the FA Cup, I assume. So that will be a boost to them. But also, Newcastle's defending was proper old school. It was sort of heroic. It was throwing the bodies on the line, and I don't see that from Manchester United in this one. I think if Arsenal get in similar positions that they created, I think they'll win this game. The extra rest for Man United is probably my main concern about that. But I generally think they struggle for goals. I think Arsenal will go strong with the lineup, especially defensively, keep United out, and win it by a goal or two.
I definitely agree about United going strong, especially off the back of that midweek defeat against Newcastle. And yeah, they may have lost some potency in attack, but like they missed a lot of chances against Newcastle. The Havertz header, obviously the best one, but it wasn't the only one. The difference in that game is Newcastle taking their chances, unlike Arsenal doing so. And yet, you know, you've got United beating City, you've got United getting the draw against Liverpool, but again, in both of those games, like City, at a time where they were playing really poorly, were 1-0 up in that game against United late on, and probably deservedly so, although they weren't particularly good on the day. And then you've got Liverpool, where it looked to everyone like Liverpool had won that game 2-1, and it looked like they were going to deserve to win that game 2-1 before a kind of a late goal from United pegged them back. Yeah, I still think Arsenal have the quality side here. I think if this was a little bit higher, and if it was kind of 1.2, the midpoint, then you'd probably be looking at going lower. But having that 1 goal margin win on side is definitely good enough for me.
Yeah. Arsenal's home record was phenomenal. Obviously, they lost in midweek. Up to that point, I think it was like a 13-14 game unbeaten run, wasn't it? Across all competitions, and they played some decent opponents at that point of time. I think they forced 11 corners against Newcastle. If they do that against Manchester United, we know what their lack of defensive abilities are at set pieces. And I think, we're fine.
We're fine.
Just a word on the ball, because you mentioned it. There will be a limited edition ball for this game.
Oh.
Because Mita. It's my favourite curry house in my village.
Is it good?
Mita.
Oh, you nearly gave away where you lived there.
Yeah.
That was close.
Near Reading.
People are going to come and...
Near Reading. Oh, mate, yeah. All the
Autograph
fans.
hunters.
Come round. I'll give you some
Oh,
tips
wow.
on
Where
the
is
FA
it?
Cup third round.
Dan's full address
because United won
Yeah.
the competition last year. They'll have a limited edition winner's ball for every
What?
game they play in the FA Cup
Really?
until the final.
Get their own ball, so they actually
So,
bring their own ball to the game and can take it home with them.
Yeah,
Wow,
so that could
proper
be
old school.
interesting. I wonder what Arteta will have up his sleeve for excuses should United get the win here.
Wow. Right, nap time. Dan, the Nap King.
Right.
Yes.
Or
I'm
you've been more
going back to
napkin
that
than
Tottenham
Nap King,
game.
haven't you, recently?
Say again, sorry.
Been more napkin than Nap King?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit, I fell off last week, particularly poor.
My Nap won. 4-point win.
Did it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tiny win. It was booking
Did it?
supremacy.
Yeah, it was zero,
Zero,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sold at 4.
Not updated the spreadsheet this week then, Dan.
No, I have, and I've put it down as a loser, so I need to go back in there and have a look.
What?
I thought it was a loser, mate.
No.
You know my maths is bad. That's
Yep.
why I sent it to you to
Tell
check.
you what, I'm not getting any more red in memorabilia
Unbelievable.
for
Yeah,
next Christmas. It's
Yeah,
going to be a
I'm-
calculator.
Yeah. No, it definitely should be. Right, I'm going back to that Tamworth Tottenham game,
Oh.
and I'm going for a sell of first goal at 28.5.
So you're expecting late goals? Nice.
No. I'm expecting early goal from Spurs. I've already said it. I think they're going to come flying out the trap. In the Premier League, Tottenham have scored at least 4 more goals than any other side in the first 15 minutes of games. I mean, the rest of the teams in the Premier League are much, much stronger than Tamworth. You guys may disagree because you're sort of on the Tamworth side here that they might hold on till late. I don't think so. Coming up against National League opposition with a huge derby game at the weekend for Spurs, they'll want to get the job done. As I said, flying out the trap. Early goal, sell at 28.5.
I'll go next because I'm sticking to that game, and I'm looking at Tottenham corners. Tottenham corners squared, to be exact, 81 to buy. So you're needing 9 to break even.
That's good.
Yeah, I think Tottenham will pin Tamworth, and we know that Ange Postecoglou's teams, when they're ahead, they don't drop off at all. They keep throwing men forward, they keep playing the high line, and I think this could go to any number really, especially if Tamworth manage to hold out for any period of time. Obviously, it's one of those where if there are only 3 or 4, you do lose a fair bit, so make sure you're staking accordingly. But Spurs corner squared at 81 as a buy is my nap. Jack?
Nice. Well, I'm going to go run roughshod across your territory on
Right.
your turf.
Ooh.
Oh, whoa, that is good.
League 2.
That is low as well.
League 2. Swindon versus Crewe Alexander. And I'm going with total goal minutes. Alexandra, sorry. I did that. And they're my League 2 team this season. Go on, the Alex. The Railway Men. Still called the Railway Men, I take it. Anyway, total goal minutes, 127 the line, which I think is very, very low. I was tempted to go with goals cubed here, but Crewe aren't the most prolific away from home, and they do like a 1-1.
Yeah.
Although there has been some late goals, so that swayed me towards going the 1-2-7. The main reason for this one really is the agent of chaos that is Ian Holloway.
Ollie, yeah.
Oh yes. So 4 games at home in the league. he's taken charge of since becoming Swindon manager in League Two. 18 goals in those games. There have been 2 3-1 wins, a 3-2 win and a 3-2 loss. And there's been 2 missed penalties by Swindon in that period of time as well, and a scored penalty. So, one to look at. Goal minutes across those games: 179, 161, 177, 292, an average of 202.5. So this, looks like a great line to attack for me, and it's in the south, so we should have game on. And higher than 127. Yeah,
good point. That weather could be causing absolute carnage up and down the country ahead of this FA Cup third round weekend. Could mean there are quite a few teams in the hat though. Be nice.
Yeah.
Like Oxford got Exeter away. FA Cup definitely not our priority, but if we get postponed, which is a possibility, and then we draw Liverpool away, suddenly Exeter away becomes quite fun.
Exactly. I got sent a very interesting stat today by a good friend of mine called Matt. Hi Matt, thank you for the stat.
What are you looking at? There's no camera there.
There is a camera there.
Yeah.
Oh. It's my camera.
Yeah.
And Exeter have conceded an injury time goal in the last 2 games.
Both the same player.
The same player.
Yeah, Aaron Morley.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, do you know that?
I knew it because you told me this morning.
Excellent stuff. There we have it. That is the end of this week's episode of Higher or Lower, brought to you by Oddschecker, Sports and SpreadX. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch. Thank you to these two for sharing their tips,
for having us.
and insight. If you haven't got a SpreadX or a Sporting Index account, click in the show description. There is a new customer offer there, so click on the link and you can find out all about that. T's and C's do apply, of course, and losses can exceed your initial deposit when it comes to spread betting. Check out Oddschecker for your fixed odds betting needs, and of course make sure you go to whoscored.com for all the stats-based research that you need there. Enjoy the weekend's football, stay warm. We'll be back again next week, and please do ensure in the meantime that you are gambling responsibly.